Okay, my friends, we are going to transition now into our module that has to do with ceremonies and rituals. And I'm going to bring up the screen share first and get that ready to go. Oops. It helped if I went back to the beginning. There we go. Okay. So many of the adults I work with love going to ceremonies and love learning about the rituals that we do, like the smudging ritual that we do at the beginning of our class time together. So I created for Spirit Camp for Adults a module about rituals and ceremony and what they do for us in our lives. And I have given some ideas and suggestions for how you can bring rituals and ceremony very easily into your life. So let's transition into this module. So I like to have space in my home where it is a focal point for me to connect to spirit. I mean, you can connect to spirit anywhere, of course, but I like to have that point of focus in my home. And in most cultures, not most, many cultures around the world, most of the homes do have focal points. And right now I'm thinking typically of like Hindu and Buddhist homes often have an altar or someplace in their home where people can go to and set their intention for their prayers, their vows, or even just to meditate. In our society, very few homes are set up where there is a designated space for people to be able to tap into their inner world, meditate, and just be one with spirit. So we're going to go a little bit into what creating space means, what creating an altar means, how to do it, and what it means for you in your spirituality. So ceremonies and rituals really express the needs of the soul. And as we've been talking about through this entire Spirit Camp for Adults program, is that balance, that harmony that we need to find between mind, body, and spirit, so that we are nurturing all aspects of who we are in our humanness. And sometimes people get so disconnected from the spirit part of who they are that it feels like there's an emptiness inside. I've had many adult clients tell me that they feel like something's missing in their lives. They feel like there's an emptiness and they don't know how to fill that. And when we have that knowingness and that connection to everything around us, like when we did our module 2, and we were working with energy and feeling that connection to our partners as we were working with their energy, with their chakras and with their auras. And then we went outside and experienced connecting energetically to the natural world. That feeds a part of our soul at a very deep level. It gives us a knowingness that we are connected to all that is. And that helps fill that space inside us that can be feeling empty, or like there's a lack somehow because of the disconnection. So our souls really need to have us take the time, and this is something that we really should be doing every day, to create that space in our homes and in our lives so we can plug in spiritually and really feed that essence of who we are. So when we practice rituals, there are so many transformative experiences that can happen. We may experience symbols in our minds that give us purpose and meaning, so often I get pictures in my mind, or I am just fed this experience of knowing something. And it can really change so much about my outlook on what's happening around me. It can help me make decisions. Like getting symbols and information when you're in that quiet space is such a powerful way to learn how to move forward in your life, because you're plugged in when that happens. You can also experience a flow of energy within. It can be like a rush or a state of euphoria. You can experience transformative, deep healing. I have been in ceremony with someone who was feeling very arthritic and in a lot of pain prior to the ceremony. And throughout the course of the ceremony, that just lifted for her. And then you may experience a sense of harmony with others. I love being in circle with large numbers of women. It is so powerful. And it's one of my favorite things to do, because there is such a sense of connection and harmony when you're sharing heart to heart with a whole group of women. And you may receive images and memories from your ancestors that can help heal you and your families. There have been snippets that I have had at periods of time where I feel like I'm tapping directly into an ancestor's memory, or I'm tapping into information that I feel is being given to me from one of my ancestors that can help heal some ancestral trauma that might be up for me. Like I recognize that there is some ancestral trauma that I just discovered within the past month. And now I am actively pursuing ways that I can address that ancestral trauma, because as you may or may not know, we hold ancestral trauma in our DNA. And when we are able to heal our ancestral trauma, it actually shifts our DNA, and it actually heals the ancestral trauma that is being carried by all of the people in your family. So creating an altar as a focal point, like I mentioned before, is something that I find really important in my home. No matter where I live, I have an altar. So I have an altar in my living room, and I'll show you a picture of it in a couple of minutes here. But let's talk about what things you could put on your altar. So I like to have a bowl on my altar, and that bowl serves a lot of purposes. It's symbolic of the womb. It's symbolic of the goddess. And preferably the bowls that I use are made of earthenware or like pottery. Some other options that I've used before are bowls made of wood or stone. And that bowl can hold a lot of significance depending on the type of ceremony that I want to do. The bowl could hold water, wine, or juice during a ceremony. And it may be that the bowl is passed around throughout the ceremony, and the participants who are there may each take a sip out of it as it gets passed around. The bowl could be empty at the beginning of the ceremony, and then each woman may have brought some water with her to the ceremony. I'm saying woman, but I mean, there may be men there too. In my ceremonies, they're typically just women. So each woman may bring a container of water with her. And then as she pours water into the ceremonial bowl, she might state an intention. And it could be something like, I commit to cleaning up litter in the park this weekend, or I vow to not use non-toxic cleaning products in my home anymore. And then water is added to the bowl. And then each woman in turn, or participant in turn, will add their intentions with the water into the bowl. So collectively, everyone is participating in this collection of water that is holding the intentions of the entire group. And then at the end of the ceremony, that bowl of water can be brought outside, and if you're not outside, and the water can be released to Mother Earth, and the intentions that everyone has placed in the bowl have returned to Mother Earth. And I want to share a little bit here about how water and fire are transformative elements that have the ability to transmute energy. So we're going to talk more about fire and water ceremonies in a few minutes, but the whole idea of placing all of the intentions in the bowl of water and then gifting that to Mother Earth, that is so powerful in how the energy is being brought together, contained, and then released and given to Mother Earth, who is the greatest recycling center on the planet. She has the ability to take all of the energy and the intentions that are brought to her and multiply them tenfold, 100-fold. I just made that number up, but anyway, she has the ability to do amazing things with the intentions that we bring to her. Another way that a ceremonial bowl might be used is to hold unwanted blockages. So in this particular ceremony, women might pour water, like they might have brought water with them again to the ceremony. And as each one pours their water into the bowl, they might want to express something that they want to release. It may be something like, I want to let go of my passive aggressive tendencies, or I want to release my fear. And then once all of the women have placed their water and their intentions into the bowl, all of those unwanted things that everybody wants to release can just simply be flushed down the toilet as a symbol of releasing it and flushing it away out of our energy fields and creating space for new, more wanted things to be called into our lives. So moving on from the ceremonial bowl, let's go to the smudge stick, which I have many of. You guys both know what smudge sticks are, so I won't pull mine out here, but I already put my feather away. The smudging feather. What I like to do is use feathers that are indigenous to the area that I live in. This is a turkey feather. I have blue heron feathers. I have, oh my gosh, I just went blank. Yep. I don't know what that was. Sorry. I've got a bunch of indigenous feathers. I mean, feathers that are indigenous to my area here. Then an abalone shell or a smudge pot. I want to show you the smudge pot that I have. You've seen my abalone shell. You see it every time we get together. Abalone shell here. And it gets really black inside after use, after much use. This is a smudge pot that comes from Peru. It's beautiful, but it's also very heavy. I have some sage in it, and it has strings that, you know, I could put like leather, like a leather strap around it. But if you're using this as a smudge pot, it gets pretty heavy after a while. And some people actually hang it around their neck to be able to have their hands free as they're smudging. But for me, it's a little bit heavy, so I have it more as a display item, but this is what a smudge pot is, or one version of a smudge pot. Matches are lighter to light your smudge stick. And the smudge stick, by the way, can be made of all kinds of different things. I tend to use white sage, but other herbs that are really popular for smudging, and you can find as smudge sticks, are lavender, sweetgrass, and cedar. Then Palo Santo is used a lot, and that's from South America. Copal is a resin from Central America that's often used on sacred altars as well. Let me see. Food. All right. Depending on what your altar is created for, like in many altars, one of the pictures I showed you here before was a Hindu altar, and it had food on it. Many altars, if they're for specific events, will have food on them. So we'll talk more about the significance of the food in a few minutes here. Gemstones. So I like to look up, if I'm doing a moon ceremony or a solstice ceremony or equinox, I might look up on the internet what stones help or what stones are energized by the winter solstice, and then find those stones. I have so many stones here. I can probably find one that would be appropriate to place on the altar. If it's like the summer solstice, gosh, I put like stones that really have a lot of red and orange and yellow in them because of the fire, the sign, the hotness of the season. So I may put like a red jasper and citrine and carnelian and stones like that on the altar. And then let's see. I think that's good for gemstones for right now. Then items from nature. I love bringing in twigs, or if I find a stone that looks like a heart. I have lots of stones, I think they're in my living room, that I find when I'm out on walks or hikes or something that look like hearts. I've got a little collection of them now. So I might put one of those on my altar. Also, putting candles on the altar. I like to use candles that kind of go with the season, and then seasonal objects. So for instance, if I were doing the next page I'm going to show you is a winter solstice celebration, I might want to bring in some evergreen boughs or some pine boughs for the winter solstice. So depending on the seasons, like I have a friend who creates a new altar for each season of the year, and then items to represent the intention for the altar. And I will show you what I mean by that in just a minute, because I created a very special altar for myself in the last 6 months. And I will show you pictures of that in a minute, because you can create an altar that will hold the energy and manifest the energy of what it is that you're intending for that particular altar. So this is the altar that I was just telling you about that was created or is being created for a winter solstice celebration. So you can see in here, there are some cranberries, there are some dried apples, there are stars, there are nuts, there's cinnamon. So all of these things are things that we would think of for this particular season. And they are things, oh, and there's some pine or evergreen bough there, pine cones, all kinds of stuff. So just use what you feel called to use as you create your altar in your home. And I find this to be a really soothing thing to do. And like I said before, it gives me a focal point in my home where I can really tap into my spirituality. This is the one I was telling you about that I created for a very specific reason. So altars can be created as tools to manifest situations or conditions in one's life. This woman's altar was created for me to call in a soul sister tribe, personally, like in person. I have so many friends around the country that are soul sisters, but I really wanted to create a more in-person one. So I created this altar in my home, and this is the spot in my home where the altar resides. I have a water fountain in the corner, and my altar is right beside it. And then I have a meditation cushion that I can put on the floor right down here, and I can meditate to this soothing sound of the water right in front of my altar, knowing that I am manifesting and calling to me the soul sisters who I can gather with in person and do ceremony with. So on this particular altar, you can kind of see the whole thing lit up here. Like my mom was represented by the hummingbird. And this was actually a name tag made out of a cross section of a piece of wood that it was from a retreat that I facilitated, and it's just like the face of a woman here, and then this spiral going all the way into the heart center. A bouquet of fresh flowers. And then this is the ceremonial bowl that I have here. It's 4 women sitting in circle around this fire pit. And what I did is I took Sculpey clay or polymer clay, and I created a fire pit out of clay for my little sacred women's circle. And I hollowed out the underneath side of it so I could put a battery operated tea light in it. So now, and then I surrounded it with stones that really felt called to me. I have blue lace agate, rose quartz, and carnelian in here. And I think there's something else, but I can't remember what. But I put some stones in there. And then when I go in there to watch TV at night or just relax, I turn on the women's fire pit. And I also found this little string of lights. It's hard to see here, but you can see it in the picture that has the word faith on it. There are these little tiny, they're like little angel lights, but they're made of rose quartz. These are rose quartz here. So I have a rose quartz little string of battery operated lights that are surrounding the outer edges of the altar. And I'll turn that on when I turn on the little fire pit here. And I have this beautiful soft glow of the women on my altar that I am calling into my life. And then the 3 of Cups in a tarot card deck is women, a collection of women, women coming together, holding space for each other. And then the altar cloth that I got was just some cloth I found at Joann Fabrics that was just women. So I have this beautiful, and this medicine woman doll up here on the top right is a felted medicine woman doll that a friend of mine makes. That's what her business is. So anyway, this is the perfect example of an altar that's created with a specific intention. And then I am able to focus on it when I go into my living room at night, and it is calling in my tribe. One of the other things that oops, I'm going to go back here for a second then, that I put on my altar that's not in the notes because it might not be for you, is I work with Black Jaguar medicine. And this is a Black Jaguar little animal. And I put that either on my altar or behind me, depending on where I want it. But it always holds that energy of my power animal for me. Okay. So I want to start talking a little bit about different types of ceremony that you can do, because these are pretty darned easy and they are great for you to be able to create in your own life, either by yourself or with a family or a community. So I like to use fire ceremonies to release unwanted energy or attachments, to make space for new intentions and situations. And we just talked a couple of minutes ago about how you can do that with water. Fire is another powerful way to do that. So whether you're wanting to get rid of unhappy memories, negative emotions, or situations you're holding on to that are no longer serving your highest good, you can create a fire ceremony for yourself to be able to let go of those. So when you are doing a ceremony such as this is when you're tapping into that healing energy for your soul. So this is important work for you when you are, excuse me, working on your mind, body, spirit connection. I'm going to pop a cough drop here, you guys. Give me just a moment. Do you guys have fire pits at your house?
I do.
Okay. Alrighty. So another thing to do, I don't know if you guys have ever done this, is when I'm doing a fire ceremony, I love to look into the fire and to see what I see. Like, you may see animals, you may see angels, you may see spirit helpers, ancestors, guides. For me, spirit speaks to me through the images that I see in a fire. So I encourage you, the next time you have a fire in your fire pit, to open your 3rd eye up and see what spirit's sending you for images. So fire ceremony is something that you can Perform anytime you're feeling stuck, you're creating something, or you need to shift your energy. I like to do fire ceremonies at the changes of the seasons, and I don't do them all the time at the cycles of the moon because of where I live, but they're a really great thing to do when you're honoring the cycles of the moon. So when you're doing a fire preparation, the fire ceremony preparation, I would start by just checking in with your heart and asking yourself, what do I need to release that is no longer serving me? Then you can either write it on a piece of paper, draw pictures of it, or both, and then prepare your fire pit. You can also use a metal bowl or a candle. Just make sure it's really safe for a fire. I was using that ceremonial women's bowl that's on my altar. I was using that on a Zoom call, and I had a little tea light in the center of it, and I was burning something that was on a little piece of paper, and holy cow, the tea, I don't know, somehow the wax spilled over from the tea light, and I almost started a fire in my home here. So you've got to make sure it's really fire safe if you're doing it inside, and then a container to put the fire out. So when you're starting your ceremony, I kind of put a recipe down here for people to follow, so you would know the different steps to take. I did not put in here, smudge your sacred space first. So I need to go fix that. That would be number one, smudging and clearing the energy of the space that you're using, and then reciting an invocation. You will get your invocation in the email that I'm sending you after the call today. Call in your spirit helpers, ancestors, angels, or any other spiritual support that you work with. Then I would tune into the energy of the fire and ask it to help you release what you want to let go of. Ask Mother Earth to receive what you are releasing, and then place each item on the fire while you name what you are releasing. I say it out loud, and then I give it to the fire. And then I thank the fire for taking it from me. I thank Mother Earth for holding it for me, because as soon as the ashes are done in the fire pit, they get returned back to Mother Earth. And then I make sure that I express gratitude to all of the spirit helpers who have been there with me, for me, performing the ceremony with me, and then extinguish the fire. Now I want to talk about how you can use water in ceremony. So water has been used for religious and spiritual blessings since ancient times. Even think of baptisms at churches and stuff. Water is used in almost all religions that I can think of right now. And the ocean is considered to be a place from which all life comes from on our planet. There are many cultures that believe that the ocean is the beginning of life, the womb of life. And then think of us before we're born. We're surrounded by amniotic fluid. So water is an incredibly powerful element to be using in ceremony. And it's a way for us to also honor water for the life-giving spiritual force it is. And of course, we all know that water is life. So if you were to do a water ceremony, you'd need to find an earthen container to hold the water, create sacred space by smudging, do your invocation, connect with your heart, ask what you want to bring into your life, hold the water in your hand, state your intention either out loud or in your mind, and then pour the water into the bowl. And then when everybody has completed that, you might want to circle the bowl and take turns, like dipping your finger into it. Some people like to dip their fingers into it and put a wet dot on their third eye or on their heart chakra. And then at the completion of the ceremony, I love this one, because this one isn't where we're releasing and then like giving it back to Mother Earth or flushing it down the toilet. This is one where we're calling things in. So for this one, all of the women can take a vial of water home with them, because the power of all of the collective intentions of all of the women are in that water, and that becomes sacred water. So you can do anything with it that calls to you. But one of the things that I like to do with the sacred water when I do ceremony like this is I'll take it to the next ceremony I do, so that that ceremonial water is being dispersed to so many different women's circles that I may go to and participate in these ceremonies with. I want to talk a little bit about how you can bring water into other spiritual practices. When I do full moon and new moon ceremonies, I do them online. I like to tell the participants in my calls to take a glass of water and whisper an intention into the water, blow into the water, set whatever it is you're trying to create into that glass of water, and then leave it on the windowsill or outside overnight under the moonlight. Let the energy of the night of the moon infuse the water. And then in the morning, you can take that moon water and drink it and ingest the power of the moon's energy with your intentions and really take it in to a cellular level in your body. And then another thing to do with affirmations, and this goes back to module 2 when we were talking about the hidden messages in water. You can infuse your water with written prayers or affirmations. You can write them on a piece of paper and either tape them around your water or put them down on the table and put your water on top of it and leave it there overnight. And because of that work that we know Dr. Emoto did with the hidden messages in water, we know the water is being infused by that intention or that affirmation. And then the next day we can ingest that water and know that we are taking that energy in. So this is a really powerful way to keep taking your intentions and really doing something with them energetically, so that you're constantly moving forward to create whatever it is you want to create in your life in a very simple ritual. So creating space in our homes and lives to create ritual and ceremony helps us remember that there is something greater than we are able to perceive. That focal point that I have in my home helps me remember that it's not just me. I mean, there is something so much bigger than me out there. And the way that I am constantly reminded of that is to have that focal point in my home where I can go to and pray or meditate, and just take time to tap into spirit. So in ceremony, we realize the truth that there is no separation. Everything is us, and we are everything. Ceremony creates unity instead of separation and provides opportunities for deep transformation and healing for ourselves and our community. And when one of us heals, we all heal. When we heal ourselves, we are healing the world. And ceremony and ritual is one of my favorite ways to do that. I believe that is the end of ceremonies and rituals. Yes. So do you have any questions about ceremonies or rituals? Do either of you do ceremonies or rituals?
Do.
Would you share a little bit about like some of the ceremonies that you do?
There are two ladies that live close by, and we do a moon ceremony every moon cycle, a full moon ceremony. And in the training I was in before, I was trained to lead moon ceremonies. And it's very much what you were saying, to smudge first, call in the 4 directions, protections. We try to have a fire. We like to have our ceremonies around a fire pit, but the weather has not cooperated with that. So we end up on my front porch. But we like to be outside no matter what the temperature is. We started this during COVID, and being outside was more preferable and safer. And now we just want to be outside. So we dress warm, and we look at the temperatures and try to pick the day closest to the full moon that seems to have temperatures that are good for that. And when you sit in the sun, and if it's not real windy, most temperatures around here are in the 40s during the day. That's typical in the winter, so it's very doable. I like the idea. I have done a little bit of the burning, something that you want to get rid of. We just came up with the idea. We bring water that we're going to drink during ceremony and afterwards, and we just have a moment where we each bless our own water. So I like this idea of putting all the water into one and then each person getting to take part of that back. I like that idea. That's good.
That's powerful, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah.
I want to see if Marie has anything to share, but remind me afterwards. I want to say something about pine cones.
Okay. And we journey. Yeah. We journey to visit.
Journey?
Yeah, we journey to visit Grandmother Moon. I have a drum and I lead the journey, but we've gotten to the point now, these ladies have gotten to the point like I am. I get them started, then I can stop drumming. I can stop saying anything, and we're all off on our journeys. And we just all come back when we're ready.
That's fabulous. We should see if there's a full moon time for this little gathering we want to have.
Yeah.
That would be fun. Marie, is there anything you'd like to share regarding ceremonies?
Well, it's been a while since I've done one, but there was a time when I was, going through a divorce and just struggling to release feelings. And I remember, Ava, I think I was with you up in the mountains of California and doing a fire pit release and putting a picture of my ex in the fire and releasing. And it really made a difference.
It does, doesn't it? Yeah. So I want to go to the pine cone for a second, because this can be a really powerful way of releasing something too, or releasing a situation. So I do this with kids at Spirit Camp as well. And if I'm doing an in-person program for adults, I do this as well. So keep this in mind, especially for you, Debbie, where you've got a group of women already coming together and journeying. So what I will do is have people go into like their quiet space inside and think of a situation that they just need to let go of. They're just holding on to stuff and it's not serving any purpose. And they just need to be able to let go of it. I have them hold a pine cone in their hands as they're thinking about this particular thing that's driving them crazy. And then when the time feels right for them, I have them blow the energy of that situation into the pine cone, and then thank the pine cone for providing that service for them. The pine cone now has that yucky situation in its energy field. And then at the fire ceremony, when the time is right, to go forward and release the pine cone into the fire and thank the fire for providing that service as well. So that can be a very powerful way to let go of situations that are no longer serving you. Like the picture that you used, Marie, in your fire ceremony was very appropriate for that particular situation. But in a case where, there isn't a photograph, it's just some yucky situation that you're having to deal with, that pine cone is a great thing to use to be the symbolic of that situation. So you can take the energy out of it, out of your body, into the pine cone and offer that to the fire. Have you ever done that in ceremony, Debbie?
No, I've never done that.
Yeah, that's a cool one too. Yeah. Okay, let me see if I have any other notes here. Okay, so I don't know what your rocks are like in Virginia, but I want to share with you that here in Maine is like, we grow rocks here, rocks and potatoes. So in Maine, there are lots of rocks that have like stripes of white in them. They have white in them, the little pieces of quartz and stuff. When I find a rock that has a white like stripes circling the whole thing. I call it a wish rock. This is so much fun to do when you're out walking, especially if you're walking with kids, is you have them start collecting wish rocks. And I like to do ceremonies with people, whether they're adults or kids, where everybody has a wish rock in their hands. And they are given a wish rock as they come into the ceremonial circle. I might have a little basket of them, and everyone gets to pick the wish rock that feels right for them. And then during the ceremony, we all get to blow our wish or intention, our prayer, whatever it is, into the wish rock. But then we all get to take them home and put them on our altars. And that can be a really powerful way for people to take a first step towards manifesting something, is when they're blowing that wish into the wish rock that will stay on their altar. That's a really sweet one. And then, God, I had another one just pop into my head, and
Hey, Ava,
yes.
it might be nice to include a wish rock in the craft kit that you send out.
Oh, that's a good idea. Okay, hang on.
Because I don't see rocks like that very often where I live. How about you, Debbie?
It depends. There's lots of quartz here.
Yeah.
And the quartz can have veins of iron in it. And sometimes you'll see one with a little bit of maybe, I'm not sure. You're right. I don't know that we see a white, but couldn't you declare anything? I mean, you could.
You could find something in your area that is not like so prolific that you would find it every 5 feet,
right.
And just, say, well, that's a wish rock, And then I have done house blessing ceremonies, and I have done oh gosh, I did this adorable one, welcoming a little baby into a home. This was a little girl who is coming into a family of all boys. And I created a little ceremony for the brothers, who were probably like 6, 4, and 2, or I don't know, 7, 5, and 3 or something. But we used a rose quartz to represent the little girl who was coming into their lives. And they each held the rose quartz, and then each of them said what they were going to do when they welcomed her home from the hospital, how they were going to welcome her home, what it is that they would like to teach her as she's growing up. I can't remember. We had like multiple rounds that we were doing around the ceremony, with each child holding the rose quartz that was representing their little sister, and talking about what it would be like having her in the family and welcoming her and stuff. So I mean, I love creating ceremony for anything, because in our society, we just, digital pictures are what we use as to mark milestones in people's lives, especially in children's lives. And I love to have a way to create and recognize things that are happening in children's lives, more than just a picture on a Facebook page. So I even talked about, with one of this parenting workshops that I did, creating a simple ceremony around a child losing its first tooth, or a child getting its driver's license, or like, these are rites of passages for children, and we don't mark them in our society as rites of passage. So I think this is a book in the works at some point in time, but I think it's important that we bring ceremony back into our everyday lives, to celebrate those milestones that we all experience, but we tend to just pass over, like they're just nothing exciting or big, but they're milestones for us. So anyway, on that note, is there anything else that you guys would like to share about ceremonies or rituals? And is there another ritual that you use that I haven't mentioned? I mean, I mentioned smudging, but is there something that you guys like to do?
Well, I just wanted to mention this. When I first started studying shamanism, and I have a group of friends, the group that's coming over tomorrow, I was telling them about it. And, that morning meditation you purchased, in the grounding, there's a part, I think it's in that one, where as you bring the energy up into your body from the earth, anything that you don't need, you send back into the earth. And I was taught, and the earth can change it and take it and make it a positive thing. And my friend, without skipping a beat, said, "Oh, like compost." The earth does that all the time. And I thought, yes, the earth takes our excess, our garbage, and changes it into something fertile and can bring life back.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And that's why when I made the comment earlier that Earth is the greatest recycling center that there is, that's exactly what I meant. Because when I do fire and water ceremonies and I return the leftovers to Mother Earth, it's because that just turns into compost for her, and everything gets transmuted. So whatever negativity we're releasing from our bodies and our energy fields and giving back to Mother Earth, she's transmuting that energy and just returning it back to that positive state. So remember the pine cone exercise that I just shared with you? When I do ceremony with kids at spirit camp, I can't use fire ceremonies with the children. And a lot of facilities that I rent space from wouldn't allow it anyway. But so I use a bowl of water in the middle of our ceremonial space. And when the children blow their yucky feeling out, they're blowing it into a stone. And then we give the stone during ceremony to the water that's in the bowl. And I have a whole lesson around how the water is able to transmute that energy, the yucky energy that they just blew into the stone. The water will transmute that energy. And then I give it back to Mother Earth at the end of the ceremony, when parents have gone home with their kids. All of those stones with the water get returned back to Mother Earth. So I do have a lesson in there about how Mother Earth is like the recycling center. I'm going to take the stones and the water to the recycling center and give it back to Mother Earth. Yeah. Okay, so let's go ahead and take a break. And then when we come back, I think I'm going to do one short exercise with you. So you'll need paper and pencil. And then, gosh, I have two exercises. I'm trying to decide which one to do. I'm going to take a break and go muscle test myself and see which one to do before we do our closing ceremony. All right?
All right.
Okay, let's come back in 5 minutes. But that's all right. Recording now. Can you hear that music?
I can.
Yeah.
Okay. How are we doing? A couple more minutes? Are you done, Marie? You're done? Okay, how are you doing, Debbie? Do you need a couple more minutes?
I'm working on Y and Z,
Okay,
but I have
so,
everything else.
okay. Well, I have big holes in mine too, so here. Let me find our music and I'll turn that down. Come back to you guys. I have big holes in mine. I was being distracted by tech. I keep trying to make the altar work better, but I'll go first because this is the first time I've done this exercise. I thought it would be really a fun new way to kind of think of things that we're grateful for. And then I started doing it as I was being distracted. I was like, this feels hard. So I'm anxious to get some feedback from you as to what it felt like for you. So I'm going to go through what I have. I have big holes. I love aromatherapy. I'm really grateful for aromatherapy and all of the wonderful things that it does for me. And I have it in my home all the time. I'm grateful for basil. I just made a huge batch of pesto last night, and I love making fresh pesto out of basil. I'm grateful for companionship. D and E, I skipped. I was going to go back to them. F, I am grateful for my friends. G, I missed. H, I'm grateful for hiking the coastal trails that give me beautiful views. I'm grateful for ice cream. J and K, I missed. L, I'm grateful for love. I'm grateful for the moon ceremonies I get to share with my women friends. N, I'm grateful for new experiences. O, I'm grateful for my online community. P, I am grateful that I get to pursue my dreams. Q, I'm grateful for my quiet time. R, I'm grateful for roses and the beautiful scents they bring. S, I am grateful for my spirituality and for all of my spirit helpers. T, I am grateful for all of the teachers I have mentored with. U, I am grateful for my unlimited abundance. V, I am grateful for my vision. W and X, I missed. Y, I am grateful for my yoga practice. And Z, I missed. So I would love to hear from you. Who wants to go first?
I can.
Okay,
Sometimes I name more than one thing.
that's fine.
All right. I'm grateful for apples. My father was an apple grower. Apples literally fed us, clothed us, and everything. And airplanes that have bring my children home and have taken me to nice places. I'm grateful for little boys, thinking of my little boys, thinking of my grandchildren. I'm grateful for cats I don't have a cat now, but I've had many cats in my life that I've been grateful to. And I'm grateful to have a car and my daughter, Charlotte. And then for D, daughters, and I'm grateful to have a clothes dryer. I'm grateful for E. I'm election officer, and I'm grateful for a country that we have free elections. And being an election officer, it's very well monitored and controlled. Believe me, we go through quite the procedure. And I'm grateful to the earth. F, I'm grateful to friends, food, and flowers. For G, I'm grateful for my garden and for the little girls in my life, my granddaughters. H, I'm grateful for my house and for my husband. I'm grateful to Ivy. I have a granddaughter named Ivy. And inland land, I like to visit the coast, and I appreciate the ocean, and I visit, but I'm a mountain person, and so I appreciate being inland. Jewelry, J for jewelry, K for kittens and kayaks, L for love, for land that I live on, and for my daughter Laurel. M for money and for music. N for needles, I like to sew. O for opportunities and my grandson Oscar. P for piano. I enjoyed learning it. I don't play, but I enjoyed it, and I enjoyed listening to piano music. My parents and plants. Q for quiet. I enjoy being able to have quiet time. R for my husband Rick. S for silence. I also enjoy silence. That I have a stove, that I can enjoy the sky, and that I enjoy sewing. I'm grateful for T, for time, for my toaster and a tractor and trees. When we have a lot of snow where I live, we have to have a tractor to get us out of here. So I'm grateful that we have a tractor. I'm grateful for utilities. It's nice to have lights and heat. V, I'm grateful for visitors. W for washing machines. Z, X, only thing I could think of for X was xylophones. And I'm grateful for the fun that when my children had xylophones and they would bang on them. It's funny at the time, sometimes you think it's driving you crazy, but now it's a sweet memory. Y, I couldn't come up with anything. And for Z, my power animal is named Zeke. So that's it.
That was such a fun list, Debbie. That's great. Thank you for sharing that. Marie, are you ready to go?
Yeah, I got all of mine. I just did one word. So I'm grateful for the word anonymous. B for blueberries.
Oh,
And yeah. C, I'm grateful for clouds. D, I'm grateful for David, who is my husband. E is, I struggled with that one and I came up with the word extra. It's nice to have extra in your life.
And it also stands for Ava Marie.
I got ready to put that on there. I thought, well, let me work a little harder and see if I can come up with something. I think F for friends. So I know we have some things in common here on our words. G for giggles.
that's good.
H for hugs. And Debbie and I both had ivy on our list, but ivy as in the plant for me. J for jeans as in blue jeans.
Yeah.
Oh, good one.
K for kisses and L for love. I'm also a mountain girl, so M for mountains. N for nuts, and for something sweet, I put Oreos for O. P, one of my favorites is pearls. And I think we all had this one. Q was quiet.
Yeah.
Yes. R for rest. S is for sun, I'm grateful for. T, time, actually. And I love a good umbrella. We have quite a few. We have a collection of them at my house. And then V, to have a voice. I can't imagine not being able to speak. W is my son, Will. And I really am grateful for x-rays. They help us find so many things. The last two have something in common. I'm grateful for yawns because Z as in Z as in Z, I'm sleeping.
I love that. This is the first time I've ever used that exercise, and I have done like doing gratitude journals and making a gratitude tree and doing gratitude collages, but I just thought this would be like a switch up for me on a new way to bring a gratitude exercise into a workshop. And I happen to really like this. Did you guys enjoy that?
Yeah,
Have you ever done one like that before?
No.
No, I just got a kick out of it. I think I might use it again. So anyway, thank you for being good sports about that. And now we're going to dive into our closing ceremony, which I'm going to share information about first before we dive into it, because it's hard for me to be present in the moment doing the ceremony and making sure that you have the information to be able to repeat this yourself. after we are finished in spirit camp. So I want to share with you the nuts and bolts about creating this ceremony first, and then we're going to actually do it. So are either of you aware of a despacho ceremony?
Say that again.
Despacho.
No.
No? Okay, it's written right down at the bottom of the page here. Despacho.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Yep. Okay. So I am going to teach you a little bit about what a despacho ceremony is. I have to move your beautiful faces so I can see. Give me just a moment. There we go. So let's talk about what a despacho ceremony is. A despacho is a prayer bundle. And a despacho ceremony is one in which a prayer bundle is created to honor Mother Earth for all the gifts that she gives us. So the Keros people of Peru believe that when we are in right relationship with nature, Mother Earth, they call her Pachamama, is nurturing and all is in balance. They also believe that when we fall out of balance with her, she withholds her blessings. So they talk about the importance of always coming back into balance and harmony with Mother Earth and to have that reciprocity flowing freely between man and Mother Earth. And we know there are so many people on this planet that just exploit everything about Mother Earth without giving back. So there is so much that is taken from Pachamama every day for food, water, minerals, wood, etc. And a despacho ceremony and the symbolism of it is a way to return to balance. So this ceremony is a ceremony that the Q'ero people of Peru, or the shamans of the Q'ero people of Peru, want everyone to learn how to do, because they really believe that when you think about tipping the scales of balance, like right now, there are more people who are exploiting Mother Earth than there are people who are honoring her, revering her, thanking her for all that she does to support us and give us life. So their belief is if we can tip that balance and have more people celebrating and honoring all that Mother Earth gives us, eventually when we hit that 51st percentile, that's when everything will shift. So this ceremony is one that they want teachers like me to share with my students in all of my workshops that I do. I'll share this particular ceremony and ask my students, please find a way to create this with your family or your community so we can keep spreading this until we do get to that point where we are in the 51st percentile and we are shifting that energy that we have between us and Mother Earth. So that is why I do this ceremony in all of my spirit camps. And I also do it if I'm doing like a day-long workshop anywhere. I'll make sure that I end with the despacho ceremony. So oftentimes despacho ceremonies can be pretty long. They can be like up to an hour or more. When you're doing like, I've done them with shamans who have come to the US from Peru, and they can be very long and detailed and drawn out. And I like to keep mine short and sweet because I feel like the people that I'm teaching them to are people who just want to know like the nuts and bolts of how to do it, but not necessarily have to spend hours and hours creating it. So I make my despacho ceremonies very simple. And they're 10 to 15 minutes long, and they're very family friendly. So for people who have families, I like to suggest that they do the despacho ceremonies on Thanksgiving after a big meal, instead of everybody sitting down and watching a football game together, or even after the football game, going out and go outside, sit on the ground, or just be somewhere where you can honor Mother Earth. I mean, you can even do it at your table. And the other day that I suggest people do this ceremony is on Earth Day, but you can do it any day. Mother Earth would love it any day of the year. So let's get into talking about what the despacho ceremony looks like. So if you have a fire pit and you are able to do this near a fire pit, that works out beautifully. It is not required, but it's a nice way to be able to hold this ceremony there. What you need is material. You will see on my altar, I have a green cloth down. That's acting as my altar cloth. White paper, 30 inches by 30 inches. I use white wrapping paper from the dollar store. And I'll show you that in the notes, it says after, at number 2, it says fold it into thirds both ways. So this is what I mean by that. It's got 9 squares. It looks like a big bingo sheet. And the inside of this wrapping paper has squares on it. I don't know if you can see it very well, but so it's squared off in 1-inch things. So it's really easy to figure out 30 inches, and it's 30 inches wide. So you fold it in thirds one way, then fold it in thirds the other way. And then when you go to actually create the prayer bundle, you're using center square, and we're going to do it in a minute. So you'll know what I mean by that. You need to harvest leaves that are indigenous to your area. And I don't have any leaves. I live in Maine right now. So I have basil leaves from the that I pulled from the pesto that I made. So I'm going to use basil leaves for mine. You can also use like bay leaves. And yeah, that's good for now. And then I have a list of ingredients on the next page that I'm going to show you. This sounds super extensive, but I'm telling you, I go to the dollar store with my shopping list and I have everything I need right at the dollar store. The white paper is from the dollar store. The only thing I can't get from the dollar store is the basil that I needed last night because I don't have any leaves outside my door. I get white and red carnations at the grocery store. That's all I have to buy separate from what I got at the dollar store. So, oh, that's so funny. I put Swedish kids here. That's supposed to say Sour Patch Kids. I have Swedish fish on here somewhere too. And I guess I didn't change, where's Swedish fish? It's on here somewhere. Right here, Swedish fish. Yeah. Oh, that's funny. So don't use Swedish fish. I mean, Swedish kids. Use Sour Patch Kids. Chocolate, because Spirit loves chocolate. Raisins, they will represent our ancestors. Beans represent the power places on the earth. I'm actually going to go through all of the symbolism when we're building the despacho. So maybe I'll skip what the symbolism is and just tell you the things to get. The Swedish fish, rice, gummy worms, black licorice, cotton balls, a feather, animal crackers, sugar, money, play money, confetti stars, flower petals, red yarn. The flower petals I just get from the white and red carnations, red yarn, white yarn, and rainbow yarn. I don't think I got the yarns there, but I did get the yarn someplace where I got a discontinued little ball of red yarn for a quarter, discontinued ball of white yarn for a quarter. I've had them for years. You only need like 8 inches. So anyway, there are things that I did not get from the dollar store, but for the most part, you can build a despacho fairly inexpensively. And the ingredients last forever. Sometimes I buy the ingredients for despacho ceremonies and they last me for like 2 summers in a row, and I do multiple spirit camps a summer. So let's talk about how you prepare for this ceremony. You've got to smudge your space that you're creating it in. Smudge each of the participants as they're arriving for the ceremony. Then you'll do your invocation with your rattle or drums. And then we're going to do this in a couple of minutes here. You pass 3 leaves to each person who's in attendance. And then you'll be asked to do this in a minute. Each person takes 1 leaf at a time. They put it in their hands. They think of something that they're grateful for, a blessing, a prayer, or something that they want to have Mother Earth have in this prayer bundle. And then they blow it into the leaf like that. And so, excuse me, each person has 3 leaves that they'll be putting their prayers or intentions into. Then you'll open your blanket and put it out as your altar cloth. Then you'll have your white paper that you put on top of the altar cloth. And then you place the leaves that have been blessed or prayed over into the center square. And then we start building the despacho from there. The red flowers represent Mother Earth, and they go like a ball in the center of the white, of where the leaves are. And then the white flowers go in a circle around the red ones, the white flower petals rather. And then one at a time, the rest of the despacho ingredients are added to the prayer bundle. And then once the whole prayer bundle has been created, I just open my hands and I ask everyone in attendance to receive the blessings of our despacho. And then you'll see me fold it up into this shape here exactly. And then and when I'm folding it up, I don't turn it or tip it as much as possible, because I don't want the prayers to fall out. So I want to keep it upright as I'm doing the folding. And then I'm going to tie it with some yarn. And then I'm going to ask all of us to stand up, and I will do a silent prayer as I offer it to the spirits of the 7 directions. And then I will be thanking the spirits and you for joining me in this ceremony. And then that will conclude the ceremony. Now, when you complete a despacho ceremony, there are 2 ways to gift this despacho, this prayer bundle, to Mother Earth. One is to burn it, and that is for a quicker transformation. The other is to bury it for a slow and steady release. So if you're choosing to, and I never bury it, because when I go from spirit camp to spirit camp week to week in the summer, I'm never on my own land. I'm on somebody else's land. So I never have the opportunity to bury it, but I don't think I would anyway, because of the stuff that I have in my despachos. So when the despacho is given to the fire in a fire ceremony, what one does is get the fire really hot, place the despacho right on the flames, and then turn your back to the fire and allow the fire to consume the despacho, the prayers, in private. And it usually takes, just because I've done so many of these, about 10 minutes. So everybody just stands with their backs to the fire for about 10 minutes. And then at some point in time, I'll just look over my shoulder. And usually at that point in time, there is just like paper that hasn't quite burned. It's just singed, but not burned on the top, but everything else underneath it has burned. So I usually just take a stick and just push the rest of it down into the fire. So it only takes about 10 minutes to burn a despacho. Let me see, what else do I want to tell you about that? I think that's it for that. Oh, I think that's the end. So I guess it's time to do our despacho ceremony together. Do you have any questions before I actually start doing this? Okay, I'm gonna do the leaves first. So I'm gonna put my leaves down here for a moment. Usually I have an extra basket. I forgot to bring one. So what I'm going to do is pretend I have 9 leaves in my hands right now. I'm just not taking the time to count. Pretend I have 9 basil leaves, 3 for Marie. No, I don't need 9. I only need 3 for right now, because I'm going to do these one at a time. Okay. So I have 1 leaf for each of us in my hands right now. And I'm going to ask each of you to set an intention, a prayer, a gratitude thing that you would like to share. And then when I count, we're all going to blow our intentions or prayers energetically, set the intention that they are going to end up in these leaves. So let's just take a moment to think of what it is you would like to blow into the leaves. Okay, is everybody ready? Okay, I'm going to count to 3 and then blow. 1, 2, 3. Okay, that goes into the basket. Now I'm going to take the next set of leaves. Okay, just close your eyes and settle in on one more thing. And when you're ready, open your eyes so I'll know you're ready. 1, 2, 3. And now, oops, hang on here. The third set. Okay. Gather your thoughts. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Okay. Now we are ready to create our despacho. And let me think about this for a second. Yeah. Because we've already created sacred space today and we already have called in the spirits, I don't think we need to do that again, because I think you guys know that as you're doing this yourselves, that is a step that you would take first. So now I'm going to spotlight the altar. Okay. I'm going to open the altar cloth. I mean, the paper, which acts as like the envelope for the prayers that we're building for Mother Earth. And the very first thing that goes in would be the leaves. And these leaves are not as pretty as the ones that I've usually used, just simply because they've been, I don't know, they're wilted. I took them out earlier today and then I put them back in the fridge hoping they would get unwilted, and they didn't. So I like to make mine, oh, I should do it the other way so it faces you, but you can see it's kind of like in the shape of a little heart. I like to start my leaves in a shape of a heart because I feel like I want to share my love with Mother Earth. Okay, and then I'm going to add the red flower petals right in the center of the leaves. And these flower petals represent Mother Earth. And then around Mother Earth, I'm placing white flower petals, which represent the universe or the cosmos. I think I need to move a couple of things here, so I have a tiny bit more room. Then this is what I bring to my despacho ceremonies. Everything, all of the ingredients are in these little paper cups that I also get at the dollar store. So all of the ingredients that I listed off to you in our presentation are in these little cups. So I'm going to put that in front of me. I just needed to make some space on my desk so I could fit this here. And then when I'm doing this live in person, what I'll do is ask each person to come up and take one of the items, and one by one, we each build the despacho together, the prayer bundle. So when I do this on Zoom, I'm going to ask for your permission to do it for you, to add your item for you. So let's see. The first item I always like to add, because I work with so many children, I like to add Sour Patch Kids, just because I am so grateful for all of the children in the world that I get to work with. And then Marie, may I add this next item for you? I am going to add gummy worms on your behalf, and gummy worms represent all of the creepy crawlers on the planet. And Debbie, may I add something for you now?
Yes.
I'm going to have black licorice added for protection. And I'm going to add white cotton ball that I've stretched out here, and that will represent the clouds, which we are so grateful for because they bring us shade, and then they also store the water, which we need and provides us in the form of rain. Marie, may I add something for you? Oh, you can't even see it. I'll have to hold it up. It's a white feather. You couldn't see it.
Yeah.
I'm going to add the feather to represent the winged ones. And Debbie, on your behalf, I'd like to add some confetti stars to represent the star nations, the star people, and all that they bring us. And for me, I'm going to add some rice, which is the symbol of fertility. And Marie, on your behalf, I'm going to add animal crackers, which represent all of the animals in the animal kingdom. And Debbie, for you, I'm going to add dried beans, which represent the power places on the planet. And then I am going to add for me Swedish fish that represent all of the creatures that swim in the waters. And Marie, on your behalf, I'm going to add sugar. This is actually raw cane sugar that I will add to represent sweetness and the sweetness of life. And Debbie, I'm going to add Hershey's Kisses for you because we know spirits love chocolate. They also love kisses. And I am adding for me, it's hard to see because it's white on white, a piece of white yarn that represents the road to the stars, the pathway to the stars. Marie, I'm adding red yarn for you, and the red yarn represents the red road, the spiritual path of our Indigenous brothers and sisters. And I'm setting an intention here. I forgot until this morning that I didn't have any raisins. So I'm using almonds with the intention that these are actually raisins because I want to tell you about my raisin story. When I do despacho ceremonies with kids, especially, I tell them that raisins represent our ancestors, and it's really easy to remember that because they're all wrinkly. So, and kids just like bust a gut over that. They think that is so funny. So anyway, the intention is that these are raisins that will be representing our ancestors. And then play money to represent the abundance of gratitude we have for all of the gifts Mother Earth gives us. And that is it. That is, oh, nope, I forgot one more thing. Sorry, I pulled it aside. Some flower petals from the flowers to represent all of the plant life on the planet. There. Now I need to move this. You can see doing this on Zoom takes up a lot of space, but it works. So now what I do is, first of all, let's just, before I close it up, just going to place my hands energetically around the despacho, the center, where all of the prayer is, the prayer bundle is, and just ask each of you to just close your eyes and take in the essence of this prayer bundle. And if there's anything else you feel like you want to infuse it with energetically, please do so now. Okay. And now I'm going to fold it up. And remember I said it's important, just as part of the how-tos of this ceremony, to not tip it so the prayers and the blessings don't fall out. So I fold it up like this. And then I take rainbow yarn that I can't remember. I think I got this at Home Depot or something. You can get rainbow yarn in lots of different places. It represents the road between the worlds. And I just make a present for Mother Earth out of this, trying not to tip it upside down. There we go. And now I'm going to ask all of us to stand, and I'm just going to turn and offer this with a silent prayer to each of the 7 directions, starting with the spirits of the east, turning to south, turning to west, and turning to north, then to Father Sky, to Mother Earth, and to the spirits within. And now let's have a seat. Now, if we were doing this in person, I would just place this behind me if we were in circle together. And then we would all stand up and sing Mother, I Feel You together, which I feel is a really appropriate thing for us to do now to close this ceremonial space. But then I want you to stay here with me. So don't go anywhere. So let's now take a moment to think of the 3 of us together that have been on this journey through Spirit Camp for Adults. This is our last closing of our circle. So let's set the intention that we are all connecting heart to heart and energetically through our hands as we energetically hold space with our left hand facing up, our right hand facing down. And just for a moment, so we're not talking over each other in Zoom, I'm going to mute you as we sing Mother, I Feel You. Here we go. Mother, I feel you under my feet. Mother, I hear your heart beat. Mother, I feel you under my feet. Mother, I hear your heart beat. Hey ya, hey ya, hey ya, hey ya, hey ya, hey yo. Hey ya, hey ya, hey ya, hey ya, hey yo. Hey ya, hey ya, hey ya, hey ya, hey ya, hey yo. Hey ya, hey ya, hey ya, hey ya, hey yo. And let's just take a moment to thank all of the spirits who have been here with us, loving us, guiding us, nurturing us, and protecting us. And ask them to continue doing so until we come together again in person in Virginia. Thank you, everybody. Many blessings to you. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and let me unmute you. Oh, I can't unmute you. You guys can go ahead and unmute yourselves. I am going to keep our recording on. And hang on, I'm going to close my altar view camera. Okay, we don't need that on. Okay, so I would love to know if either of you feel comfortable giving me some feedback about this program, because it will help me know what I can do to make it better for my next class. So does either of you have anything that you would feel comfortable sharing?
Oh, I could go first. So I made some notes while we were doing the alphabet thing because I finished it fairly quickly. And I thought you were looking for us to um, give you information that maybe you could use as a testimonial.
Mhm.
So I'll do both.
Okay.
So, um, so when I saw that Spirit Camp was being offered for adults, I got very excited because my son had gone through it. And as a parent, I got to be there in the closing ceremonies and really just saw how powerful of an impact the tools and techniques and things that he was doing um, seemed to help him. And then occasionally I see him use those tools and techniques. And so I thought, oh, I would like to do that. So I'm very blessed that I got to be a part of this journey for Spirit Camp for Adults. Um, when I signed up, I didn't know what I was really getting myself into. And so I just had to have, trust and faith that it was going to be fun and I was going to learn some things to help me. And in fact, I did. So the fun started when my box arrived in the mail with all the craft supplies in it. And I saw what was in there and looking through it. I got very excited. I enjoy crafts and so I thought this will be even better than I thought because I get to make some things. Um, and the techniques, some of the things that we did, I was a little familiar with, and so that was comforting. Things like our chakras and how to look at someone's aura. Things that I had done in my past were coming back to me and becoming tools for me to use. Um, and other things that I enjoyed was finding my spirit animal and making a mask to represent that spirit animal, making a rattle that's all my own and can use as I go along. The gratitude ceremony was very important to me. Made me remember to be grateful for all the wonderful things and people in my life. And I really liked the cadence of it being monthly because it gave me plenty of time to do other things in my life and then know once a month I had this event to go to and looked forward to it every time. So I'm very grateful for Ava to bring Spirit Camp to adults.
Thanks, Marie.
Some feedback on maybe things to help next time.
Mhm.
And, I've tried to provide feedback as we went. So I'm really glad you took the opening ceremony words and put them on the material look and feel that you use. And I think that just tied in very nicely with your brand and it looked very professional. So I was glad to see that. I think the PowerPoint's the same thing. It it gave your brand that same look and feel. I enjoyed the pictures that you put with the words. Those were actually inspiring, represented what you were talking about. So I enjoyed having something visual to look at along the way. Um, I think as you're working through the evergreen version of this, things to really focus on is transition between talking and then go into your documents, whatever those are. Make sure that that is seamless and that your transitions move smoothly back and forth. But otherwise, I think the content that you have, the products that we're using, the things that we're doing, were awesome. So,
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. I appreciate that. Debbie, is there anything that you would like to share?
I came to Spirit Camp looking for tools to help me in living in my everyday life, and I found those. I believe dowsing is very helpful and can be developed. in that developing your own intuition is something that means a lot to me for inner guidance. Balancing my chakras, I felt very helpful, and I had never balanced my chakras with stones before, and I found that very, very helpful in that I could just trust the stones to do what needed to be done. And I found that I think Marie's comments were good, and I can't really think of anything else to add. I did enjoy getting the kit. I think you providing as many supplies as you did was very, very, very helpful in that we didn't have to go out and hunt down a whole lot of things. And it was minimal what we brought to the lessons as far as things to make crafts. So that's all I can think of right now. But I have one thing, if you'll excuse me a second, I want to show you something. It's in the craft box, and I'm going to be right back.
Did I forget to use something from the craft box? Okay.
Did you send us a black velvet bag?
Does it have a rose quartz in it?
Well, it has something in it. It has a stone.
Yes. Oh my God, I'm so glad you brought this up. Yes, that's your present for me. I have to tell you about it. Thank you for remembering that. Okay.
Okay.
I am going to tell you all about that right now. So that stone is your gift from Spirit Camp. And I'm going to tell you the story that that leads to this gift to you. I have a friend who was in the Coast Guard, and she and her crew were responsible for the entire coast of Connecticut and 21 lighthouses. And she's a shamanic practitioner. So every time she went out on the ship, she would take some rose quartz with her. And whenever she looked on the ocean charts that they navigate by, when she would see like a toxic dump site or a shipwreck or someplace where it looked like the water could really use some healing, she ended up just saying a prayer or blowing an intention into the stone and then offering it to the water. And over time, her friends on the ship asked what she was doing, and she shared with them what she was doing, and that started spreading. So over time, they went up and down the coast of Connecticut with the rose quartz, and then they started encircling each of the 21 lighthouses with rose quartz. So the coast of Connecticut was really getting this beautiful, loving energy provided by Anna and her friends in the Coast Guard. But then it started spreading even further than that. And her friends in the Coast Guard ended up taking rose quartz to the North Pole, to the South Pole. Now there's rose quartz in all the 7 seas. And the rose quartz has become a symbol of women's groups. It's a symbol of Spirit Camp, and that the people who are receiving this rose quartz, and Anna has the mother stone that charges all of the baby rose quartz. So I go to Anna to get replacement rose quartz so that I can give it to everybody that I work with in the various spirit camps that I do. And you are being asked to hold this rose quartz in your possession until you find something, a body of water somewhere that you feel could use some beautiful healing energy, and then blow your intention or your prayers into that rose quartz and offer it to the water. And by doing that, what we are doing collectively is healing the water on the planet, because all of the waters, no matter where we are putting the rose quartz, that they all end up meeting together. And one of the things that the spirit campers love is talking about, especially the ones who return from year to year, like where are they going to put their rose quartz the next year, So we have rose quartz that are down in the Everglades. We have rose quartz all around the Potomac River in Washington, D.C. I think we need a lot more there, but that's another story. We have them off the coast of Cape Cod. They're on the top of Mount Katahdin in Maine, which is the beginning or the end, however you want to look at it, of the Appalachian Trail. One ended up in Lake Oahe on the Standing Rock Reservation, where they had so many water protests a few years ago, at this time of year, as a matter of fact. One of our spirit camp parents went to the Standing Rock Reservation to join in the water protest and placed one of the stones in Lake Oahe, and they're scattered in different areas up and down the West Coast. So our spirit campers, no matter what the age is, are all participating in this beautiful movement to heal the waters of our planet by starting with the intention that these rose quartz that we have, that was started by Anna, are all sending their loving, healing energy collectively to the entire world.
Oh, okay. That's
Nice.
special.
I'm so glad you thought of that. I do this with kids all the time, but this is the first time I've done an adult spirit camp on Zoom. And I totally forgot that that's what I end right after the despacho. That's the gift I give you guys. So bless you for
I
remembering.
was going through my box to pull out my bottle and things, and I saw this and I thought, well, you didn't mention this yet. So, and then
Thank
when
you.
Thank you, Gail.
I'm so glad you brought that up. So after you have gifted your rose quartz to whatever body of water you gift it to, I encourage you to buy another one, or buy a rose quartz before you give that one away. And that one has been charged by Anna.
Oh,
It's
okay.
from the original thing. So put your two stones together, or buy a bunch of rose quartz together. You can buy them by the pound for not a lot of money. Rose quartz isn't an expensive stone. But put a dot or of Sharpie or something on yours so it doesn't get mixed up, and use that as your mother's stone, and then get rose quartz and charge it by the moonlight, and then gift those out. Like if you're doing your women's circle tomorrow, Debbie, if you've got any rose quartz, you could just kind of charge yours up tonight and gift it to your friends in ceremony tomorrow. And that way we keep spreading this amongst our sisterhood and the kids on the planet. The kids are a big part of this.
Okay. All right.
Yes. So thank you.
Thank you.
So is there anything else that any of you would like to ask or share?
I have a question.
Yes.
I noticed when you were putting the things in the despacho, did I pronounce that right? Despacho?
Despacho.
Despacho. Okay. When you were putting things in, there was one piece of licorice, 3 gummy worms, 2 fish, Swedish fish. How did you determine the amount?
Oh,
Of each of the-
it doesn't matter. It
okay.
it doesn't matter.
Whatever.
I knew there were only 3 of us here. Like if there's a lot of people there and the despacho gets to be really big, like sometimes it's like a mound of stuff
Oh.
because there's a lot of people. And so I need, like, sometimes I have had to harvest as much as 144 leaves to make sure I had 3 leaves for everybody that was there at the ceremony. So it can get big. But anyway, there's just a small group of us. So I just put small amounts, but it doesn't matter the quantity.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
So the leaves, I guess this is all written down. The number
Yes.
of leaves corresponds to the number of people,
Times 3.
but
Yep.
everything else, it just is up to you as to what
Yep.
you feel should go. Okay.
Yes. And the other thing about the despacho ceremony is that, the Karo shamans really want you to make it your own. Like these ingredients, these are the ingredients I use for spirit camp. If you want to do a despacho that puts, I don't know, let me just think of something. If you want to use a despacho that puts cinnamon, you put cinnamon sticks in your despacho, that's fine. Come up with whatever cinnamon sticks is symbolized for you.
Okay.
And say this is part of your despacho. What they really want everyone to do is find a way that is easy for you to be able to create a prayer bundle for Mother Earth. So make it up. And I made this up because it's, as you can see, there's a lot of candy in there and kids absolutely love it. But if you go online and look for people's ingredients in their despachos, I always see animal crackers, always. I usually always see black licorice for protection, dried beans for power places on the planet, rice for fertility. Like there are a lot of things in mine that are kind of standard in different despachos, but I threw in like the Sour Patch Kids, like nobody else puts that in there, but I love having kids in my life to work with. So for me, that's a really important thing to put in there. But like the Swedish fish, I haven't seen that before, but I think it's fun. It represents the creatures in the water, and the gummy worms represent the creepy crawlers. So even though I feel like it's very childlike and friendly, I think it's still very representative of things that, you know, we all want to express gratitude for on the planet. And to me, it doesn't matter if we're children or adults, a gummy worm representing the creepy crawlers on the planet seems appropriate to me. So I use the same, I am going to use the same one, I guess, in Spirit Camp for adults as I did for kids. Do you feel like it's too childish for Spirit Camp for adults, or does the symbolism not really matter? It is what it is.
I don't know that it matters.
Yeah.
The one thing I was thinking about with the whole thing in my mind, I thought, well, instead of buying the gummy worms and all that, I could make a plain pastry dough and cut out all of that, you know, animal shapes. I have some cookie cutters. They would need to be small. And so, and you just gave permission, you make it your own. So,
Yes.
yeah.
And that would be really fun to do with kids, like,
Yeah.
and having, you know, oh, let's do this for Earth Day, or let's do this after Thanksgiving, or, you know, we're all full or something. Let's go outside and just do a Thanksgiving thing with Mother Earth.
Mhm.
Yeah. So yeah, make it your own for sure.
Okay.
Yeah. And I have one more thing. I'm going to put this in the chat just because, and you guys might want to copy this or not. These are my open dates to be able to travel. And I'm just going to put them in there so you can see them. There's 4. That's it. Those are my days of availability until we're looking at like the end of March. And then, so if you guys can look at those and kind of check them out on your calendars and see if anything works for you. Do you know how to save the chat? Oh, you know what? I'll put the dates in the email tomorrow.
Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, I would really love to have an opportunity to come together and let's do ceremony together. Wouldn't that be the coolest thing ever?
That would be. I would love that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would too.
Maybe do the despacho ceremony together. Would be
Yeah.
fun.
I would love that. All right, my friends, this concludes our Spirit Camp for Adults journey together. And I just want to thank you so much for being a part of this. And if you have any friends who may be interested in joining, there's another Spirit Camp for Adults that's starting January 28th, Saturday, January 28th on Zoom. So that will come out in an email it's already been coming out in emails that I think you guys are getting, but I'm sending another email on Monday, and it will be listed in that email as well. So thank you for being a part of my, what do you call it? The first launch, the first kind of like, I don't know, my what?
Inaugural?
Yes. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for being a part of my inaugural program. You have such open hearts and you've been so open to this whole process, and I appreciate you so much. Mwah.
Okay.
And do you want feedback for the dates? What do you want us to do with these dates?
If any of those dates work for you or don't work for you, because those are the only dates that I'm going to be able to fly there. So I'd love to hear from the two of you. Maybe, oh, you're not connected in the email. Yeah, when I send the email and I have those dates in the email tomorrow, the two of you aren't connected in those emails. But if you reply to me and just let me know, you know, if any of those dates work for you,
Okay.
then I can connect with, yeah, I can block my calendar and we can start talking about me flying down there to visit. Okay.
Okay.
Okay, sounds
All right.
good.
Awesome.
Okay.
Thank you, you guys.
All right,
Have a wonderful
bye.
day.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Until later.